This is the Horse Radio Network. Well, hello, everyone. Glenn the Geek here with the Horse Radio Network, and you're listening to Episode 2 of the HRN Auditor Roundtable. This is a show where we get a few of our Horse Radio Network auditors together to talk about horses and life. We are putting this episode out on the Stable Scoop radio show feed for all to hear. It's kind of like eavesdropping on the tack room conversation. And I'm here as a facilitator, and we'll ask questions and hopefully sit back and relax like the rest of you. I'm getting sick of hearing myself talk on the show, so I'm sure you are too. Let's let somebody else do that for a while. Real quick, an auditor is somebody who has seen fit to value the Horse Radio Network programming so much that they're willing to pay as little as $1 a month, and a lot of the auditors as much as $25 a month, just to help support the network and the hosts that are on the network. And they do that by visiting horseradionetwork.com, clicking on the auditor banner in the middle of the page, and that'll take you to the page that explains the benefits of being an auditor and also how you can help out. 50% of the money goes directly back to all the hosts. Well, tonight we have 3 of our auditors with us, and you'll recognize, Horses in the Morning listeners will recognize a couple of them. And we're going to start with a neighbor of mine down here in Florida, Mary Farr. Hi, Mary.
Good evening. How are you doing?
Good. Now, where are you from in Florida?
I'm in northeast Florida, just a little bit north of St. Augustine. St. Augustine is our county seat. I'm in St. Johns County, Florida.
Oh, St. Augustine is beautiful. And if you ever come into Florida, you got to stop and visit there.
Absolutely. Beautiful.
And good restaurants, too. Mm-hmm. Well, Mary, tell us a little bit about your horsey self, kind of the Reader's Digest version.
Okay. We have a small farm. It's a stewardship forest, so trees are our big deal. And my husband has cut 3 miles worth of trails on the property, and I have 2 horses, a Hanoverian, 14-year-old Hanoverian mare, and the manager, boss of the whole farm, is Parcheesi, a 22-year-old Arab-Danish cross.
Of course. He's an Arab. The Arab's going to be the boss.
Absolutely. And I just got, 2 weeks ago, a new boarder, a 10-year-old quarter horse mare, and her 16-year-old owner rider, who's worked for me for a year, so she's going to be working off some of her board, and that's going to be great.
Oh, terrific. Well, that's terrific. Yeah. Well, very good. Let's a couple of questions about Horse Radio Network for you. How long have you been a listener to the shows?
I think it's almost 3 years.
Good. We like to hear that. And what shows do you listen to?
Every one of them.
Yay! You get a gold star.
Yeah, I get them on my podcast, and I flip it on to go to the barn, turn it off to ride, flip it back on, and I listen to every one of them.
Good for you. Thank you so much for doing that. We really appreciate it. And you already answered the third question, how and when do you listen? All the time, apparently.
Yes, all the time. All the time.
Well, very good. Thank you, Mary. Ruby Kaufman from Arizona. How are you, Ruby?
Doing good.
Now, Ruby's our youngster of the group, our teenage. Yeah. I think are you the youngest listener we have, I think?
I don't know. I think so.
And how long have you been listening?
I think I'm going on 3 years now, too.
You were a baby. You were in a cradle then.
Not quite.
Normally, when we hear from Ruby on the morning show on Horses in the Morning, because she's in Arizona and it's very early there. She's in her pajamas calling us from bed with her cat purring in her ear. Ruby, tell us a little bit about your horsey self.
Well, unfortunately, I do not have a horse at this point, but I'm hopeful that can be kind of rectified in the next couple of years once I'm able to drive and get myself a job. But for right now, I ride at the nearby ranch whenever I can.
And Ruby didn't say it, but she's a heck of an artist, a very good artist.
Yeah, that's how I kind of compensate for my horseless life.
And you draw horses excellently, and that's a very hard thing to do, is do horses correctly. And you're all of about 14 years old, if I remember right. 14, 15, right?
I'm I'm 15 now.
Okay,
so
good.
I'm 16 in September.
I think we first started talking to you in the morning show. You were like 11. It was, it was early. Well, we appreciate you listening, and we do have a lot of teenage listeners to the various shows, and we appreciate all of you as well. Martha Coors, just like the beer, and she's from the beer state, Michigan. How are you, Martha?
I'm great, Glenn. Thanks.
Are you a
Doing well.
like grandchild of Coors and a direct heir?
What I tell folks, no, it's Koers, not spelled like the beer. That's why I'm in Michigan, not in Colorado.
Darn.
Sorry.
Well, I tried. And you're in the you're upper Michigan. You're in the peninsula, or what's that? What do they call that?
I'm in the Upper Peninsula, Michigan. We call this the UP, and if you're from this area, you're called a Youper. So I always say I'm not a Youper, but I'm the mother of a Youper, so that should count for something.
And there's a lot of nothing up where you are. It's
yeah,
pretty
that's
open.
Okay.
It's pretty open.
Yeah, we're pretty rural up here, pretty rural.
A lot of farms and things like that.
Yeah.
It's a
but
very
amazing
fertile
when
area.
I came up here.
Though, right?
Yeah. Yeah. There's I was amazed. I didn't get into horses till obviously up here. My daughter got me in, and I was amazed at because the winters are long up here, and I was amazed that there was so many horse people and so many horses actually up here, considering the short growing season and all that. But yeah.
Well, you started to answer already a little bit about your horsey life. So your daughter got you into it?
Oh, yeah. Yep. She started probably when she was 4 or 5, kind of with some friends, little ponies playing around. And then probably about middle school, she got serious. So she leased a horse. We figured, well, this is dumb. Why not buy a horse rather than pay to lease a horse? So about a year later, she bought a horse, her gelding. He's about 14 now. He's a Arab paint cross. And then soon after that, about 2, 3 years after we had him, I kind of, well, this is dumb. And so she and I went shopping with all of our experience. And I went and found pretty much my dream horse. She's an OTTB, gray flea-bitten mare. We're both middle-aged, so we get along just fine most days. So
Terrific.
And, we board in a facility probably we're about 15 miles south of Lake Superior, so it's kind of nice.
Very good. And how long have you been listening to Horse Radio Network?
Well, I've had my horse about 5 years now, so I think I started kind of soon after doing the whole search. I've heard other people say search for what's out there because the radio up here is crap, and since I have a horse, I can't afford OnStar and all that stuff, So,
right.
Yeah, soon after that, I was trying to think. I've been with you guys well before Jamie had the baby, and so it's just been kind of fun to listen to you guys.
And what shows do you listen to?
Horses in the Morning, Stable Scoop, every once in a while Dressage Radio. So.
And how do you listen? What do you listen on and when?
I download the podcast on my iPhone.
Oh, cool.
And pretty much on my way to work. When I'm kind of getting my lunches and stuff ready for work, on my way home from work.
Well, terrific.
On my downtime.
Great. Terrific. And I forgot to ask Ruby, which show? I know you listen to Horses in the Morning. Do you listen to any of the others?
I try to listen to Stable Scoop when I can.
Okay. Very good. Well, let's. You guys had submitted some questions that thought it would be fun to talk about, and we're going to get to those in just a second. But I have one question for you. I'd like to hear the answer, and we can start with Mary. If you had the money to get your dream horse, what would it be?
I have to admit, I think I have her.
Oh, really?
My Hanoverian Camilla. Now, the one caveat to that is be careful what you wish for because you might get it. I've had her since she was 2 years old, so we've had 12 years of first life-threatening. She hit me in the head so many times, a neighbor was going to call family services on my husband for beating me up. So because I had so many black eyes. And then I had to find a trainer who has been working with us for 12 years. And he just retaught me about horses, and I'm a much better horse person now because of Camilla. She's not anywhere near what her potential is, but we've grown together, and we have a pretty good relationship.
So it really was green on green makes black and blue in the beginning.
No kidding. It's not that I was particularly green. I had never run across a horse like her before. I had always had thoroughbreds and Arabians before who were pretty congenial, but a warm blood has an entirely different attitude.
Well, how about you, Ruby?
I think I'd have to go with the Mustang because they're just so hardy, and I don't know, I just love Mustangs. So I think that's the one horse I'd like to get.
Now, would you want to get a broke one or do the Jamie thing?
Yeah, I'd want to start off with somewhat.
Very good idea.
Maybe later on get a wild one.
Very good idea. And Martha?
Well, I hate to kind of echo Mary's sentiments, but I think I would go with the horse I have. Again, she's taught me a lot. I was a newcomer to riding, and I'm sure many people would say, what the heck are you doing with an off-the-track thoroughbred? And she's a little flighty and sensitive, and but with training and working, we've really come together and grown together. She's very patient. She's taught me a lot, and I'm appreciative of all that she's done for me. I gratefully didn't experience the green on green, black and blue, knock on wood. So, for that I'm ever grateful. And but I'm an OTTB girl, I think. If anything were to happen to her, I've tried other people's horses, and they said, well, try mine just to get the feel. And I'm like, really? This is too much work to get you to go. What the heck? I'm kicking, come on, go. Where, my bell, it's just kind of like, hey, I hardly even realize I'm touching, and we're going. So, I'm a thoroughbred girl, so I don't know what to say.
That's terrific. All right, let's get started. Martha, your first question was about vet care. Do you want to ask the other two that?
Yeah, I just was. We are rural area, and we don't have great access to. I guess the big thing is emergency vet care, and we did have one vet that kind of would do calls. And he's left the area. The vet we currently use is a 2-hour drive from us. She does come up and do chiropractic and the routine kind of stuff. Her and her practice will take phone calls, but we're kind of in a pinch if you need to get your horse to care or 2 a.m. and you need the vet out. And I was just wondering what others, if they've had that experience or what they might have done. We've talked about getting a group of horse leaders together, kind of like a consortium, to kind of go to a vet and say, hey, we're willing to kind of like have some cash available to, guarantee care, or it's just a real struggle. There's not a lack of vets in the area. There's plenty of small animal vets, but I guess they've just got burned out from equine, visits and issues that they don't do them. Or if they do, they have a few very special patients that they see, and that's it. Mm-hmm. So just curious to see if anybody's run into that.
God, Martha, my heart goes out to you on that. When I read that as your situation, I've never experienced anything like that. My vet lives a good hour from us, and her backup lives a good hour in the opposite direction, but they both make it here. We had one night where her backup just was on the phone and in and out of range, but she kept in touch with me all night long. And our university is 2 hours away, which I've had to make that trip a couple of times in the middle of the night. Mm-hmm. But I think your idea of a consortium sounds like a pretty good one.
Right. Yeah, that definitely sounds like a good idea. We live in a rural area too, but I guess not as rural as your area. the
yeah.
closest large animal vet is about a half an hour away. But I don't know. I don't have a horse, so no, I've never experienced any trouble with getting a vet out here. But that he does make calls, I'm pretty sure too.
Mhm. Yeah, I would do that. And one of the things I do with the vet and the farrier and everybody, and I'm sure you do it too, when they come, there's a check waiting for them, and I want them to think my bill's paid when they hear from me, and that gets a good reaction in an emergency. You know, to be willing to take phone calls and all that other stuff.
Oh, yeah. That's the cash is on the barrel too here. You know, unfortunately, you know, I have a feeling that's kind of part of the reason that many of the vets have gotten out of it. It's just not a moneymaker. And
No, they don't want to drive through the 18 feet of snow in the winter to get to your house. That's why.
They have to drive through 18 feet to get anywhere out here. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just didn't know, you know, we've, like I said, many of us have talked about it, and we've talked to vets, and yeah, it's almost kind of like a vet hears you have a horse, and like, oh, I'm not talking to you, I'm not going there. So,
do you keep a good supply of Banamine and other emergency?
We do. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep, I do. We've made that discussion with, and like I said, the vet that we currently use that's 2 hours away, she would, you know, be open to have us trailer down, you know, and, you know, our trailer is available and the truck's ready to go all the time, you know. And I figure in all sense, in a lot of times, like you even said, your vet is 1 hour away, another hour. You know, 2 hours is pretty reasonable to get to vet care, even if a vet was pulling call and available. They could very well be at another farm and not get to you for 2 hours or so.
Exactly.
Yeah. But even they're limited. You know, if we were looking at going further, I've had friends who board with us that they had an eye injury and they were heading down to Madison, Wisconsin, which is 5-6 hours to some of the bigger university hospitals.
Wow.
So, but, you know, we all choose. I work in healthcare, and so I have a lot of patients that are like, well, why do I have to go this far for healthcare? Well, we have to look at when we choose to live. And so it's kind of interesting that you have
that's a big factor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
well,
it sure is.
At least you have a background in healthcare, so you get some of the things that need to be done and how to do and what to do that you could be talked through. Which
exactly
not what you want, but yeah.
You know, my biggest concern is my horse is down, can't get up, can't get in a trailer. Yeah. What do you do? And I'm with an animal that I care a lot about that is suffering. That you know, so that's the
I really like your idea of the consortium, and I'm wondering if you all got together like that and had a pool of funds, if you couldn't, and I know of one or two other instances where this happens, where you couldn't actually put a vet on retainer, and actually between the group pay them a monthly retainer.
Right.
And it's sort of then it's a financial motivation that they're going to get paid something regardless. So I better make now. The only problem with that is it can go the other way and they can get lazy on you. So that's something to consider.
Right, and then you have to have some sort of grouping together, forming, because people are kind of anxious about handing money over to, you know, there's just a...
they're anxious until their horse colics, and then they're yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Then they don't care where the money goes, you know.
Right.
So,
all right,
interesting feedback. Thanks.
All right, very good. Let's go on to Ruby. You had a question about disciplines.
Yeah, I was just kind of wondering, because I've just been, I don't have a horse or anything, but the question of discipline, what discipline would I like to try or do when I do finally get a horse? So I was just wondering, if you could try any discipline, what would you like to try? And also, do you have any trouble in your areas like in like Western dominated areas, you have trouble connecting with other people in like English, and stuff like that. Because I know this is a pretty Western dominated area, but I would like try to give English a try at some point.
Well, I'm a dressage rider, basically, first and foremost, and that has equipped me to be able to do just about anything I want. We trail ride. I've actually done a fraction little afternoon of cattle work and fox hunt and jump and all that stuff, and it all goes back to the basics of the dressage. And if you and good horsemanship is good horsemanship. So if you can find a good a good grounded Western horseman that's doing real horsemanship, that would be as good as anything. And you can transfer back and forth between the two. But you have to be responsible for making yourself a good rider. And once you're a good rider, you can ride just about anything that's put under you.
Mm-hmm. So that's interesting. No, thank you. You're welcome.
Yeah, I again agree with Mary. We need to talk, Mary.
Finding new best friends, huh?
I know, yeah. I having been a new rider, and literally I got on the horse and I thought you said, pull is whoa and kick is go. I am really learning to be the student and enjoying that. The people that have been trainers that have been available to me pretty much are focusing on dressage. And but I think it's kind of the basics are the basics are the basics. Just to learn how to move with the horse and the instructions. The horse knows what they're doing. We just got to sit back there and get out of their way. We have a lot of Western pleasure up here. A lot of the shows are Western pleasure kind of focus, which is okay. But there's a fair amount of English and dressage to tapped in there. We don't have a lot of eventing in this area. A lot of trail riding. I've always also kind of thought the endurance riding. That's kind of
one that
another
like
thing.
To do.
Yeah, that would be a fun thing to try. And the cool thing about endurance, I don't know if you've looked into it, is I can't think of the website, but if you Google it, they have where they kind of will have people that are willing to kind of take you under their wing. So, like, if you even call and, if you go, and I can't remember what the name they call these people, but where they'll say, hey, yeah, come along. We'll kind of show you the ropes. And these people, that's their whole role, which is kind of cool, rather than a lot of times you go to some of these shows, it's like, let's eat the young, and you don't know what they're doing, that, they'll cut you in half versus build you up. But I know
I think they're called sponsors. I think.
Is that it?
I think, and you actually get one. It's a kind of a formal program. So you would have your own sponsor, and that sponsor, and I think if you're under a certain age, you have to have one. And you have to ride with that sponsor. You actually have to stay with that sponsor for the whole ride. And I'm pretty sure it's sponsor, although maybe I'm just thinking of AA. I don't know. But could be both. I think it's a sponsor.
Yeah. But, if you are thinking of different disciplines, that's the one way to kind of go where you you're not walking, I've been that person drive into the show where you got the new trailer and, well, who are they? And you get out and everybody looks at you and no one comes to say hi, or anything. But, I think we really do need to do a little bit better job of welcoming newcomers in and encouraging that and, being supportive.
Mm-hmm. I would turn you back to the Horse Radio Network, actually. That Stable Scoop when Monty Roberts' daughter's on, and they present there, that's super stuff. I listen intently and make out. A lot of times I can make immediate application, and actually to listen to the dressage radio show because they give they go into a lot of detail about riding and the nuances of riding and the subtleties of riding, and that's what makes a real big different. And as far as the universal application of dressage, there's a fellow named Steve Rojek, and he rode for the U.S. equestrian team in endurance a while back. He's kind of retired from that, but he has protégés, and they do basic dressage. He winters down here in Florida, and I've met him that way. And they have a dressage instructor. They have a lot of resources, but they have a dressage instructor that instructs all of his endurance protégés. And at the World Games in Kentucky, watching the race, you could see coming over the hill his protégé Bernardo, and you could pick him out from forever because the horse was balanced and moving along, using its hind end, and he did really well. And I've seen him in the dressage ring, learning the shoulder in and all the other stuff, and learning collection so that they could apply it there, and it works. So so I would they're fun on the dressage show, but they also give some really, really practical information about riding. And
actually, that's probably the most technical show we have, and most educational and technical show we have.
The Stable Scoop's pretty good.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as giving very detailed technical tips and talking about the technicalities of riding, they, and that's because they're both Grand Prix riders, Yeah.
Cool.
I agree with you. All right, cool.
I'll have to listen to them more often.
Yeah, now I only stand about half of what they talk about, but you might get more than that. So, Mary, let's go back to you. You're facing a completely different issue up there, and I know this has been something that you've been fighting for a while. Tell us about what's going on in northern Florida there, where you are.
Okay, my county is one of the fastest-growing counties in the United States, and the neighborhood that I live in, which has about 240 2-acre farms, anywhere from there are several 5 and 10s, but most of them are 2 acres, and it's been here 50 or 60 years, and we are surrounded by suburbia and the cookie cutter houses and all that, and we're an old-fashioned neighborhood, so it's very square. And there is one that is bubbling, literally a bubble into our neighborhood, and that one farm owner would have 10 houses on the backside of her property, right at the fence line.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and fortunately, we found out about it in December. They had only been in the planning process a couple from October at that point, and I'll say one thing. Our community has what they call neighborhood Bill of Rights, and you can call into the county and give an area. It doesn't have to just be your own house. It can be whatever area that you're concerned about, and you identify that area and anything that goes on in that area. Especially with planning and zoning, but all kinds of other things too. You're sent an email. A lot of it I don't care anything about. Some of it I care a lot about. But your first notice on that, and I would suggest that people look into that in their neighborhood so they can know what's happening. But because another friend of mine didn't find out until late, and they didn't even go ahead and have the hearing where the public was going to be available because nobody had shown up. And we found in the last 6 months that the planning and zoning staff are only able to respond to citizens' concerns. They can't initiate. They only can respond. But as citizens, when we went to respond, when we went to initiate, they have responded and taught us the ins and outs of the system, the nuances of the system, what we need to know, the planning and zoning agency, the non-staff, non-professional that actually do the rulings. They've all been out, seen our place, seen our neighborhood and what our concerns are. There's school crowding, their roads, and actually some of the older HOAs, the homeowners associations, the older subdivisions that are in our neighborhood have aligned with us because we share schools and roads and safety and all that are shared concerns. And last Thursday, we had our hearing, which we had prepared for since December, and amazingly, they were denied. And actually, 2 plans were denied at that meeting. And in 16 years, nobody could remember. That's the longest person that was remembering, where 2 had been denied in one night, and we were one of them. Our meeting started at 7:30 and ended at 11:30 at night. But I encourage people to do that, because what we walked away from this, and some of the kids that were there, because there were some kids there, is that our system does work, but we have to take the initiative, and we have to really work at it. We still have to go before our Board of County Commissioners to have it approved, the denial approved, and it's not over yet. But we do have that one advantage and that one encouragement. And Equine Land Conservation Resources, ELCR, and the American Horse Association were helpful in giving us some guidance too. And also the county extension agents and things, and that part through the university were helpful and are helpful in getting us all this figured out. But you just have to be really aware, because horse property is just not given a value in the development eye, in the developer's mind, or in the county's mind, unless you stand up and say this is really important. So that's my little deal.
And it is one of the biggest problems that we're all having. I mean, whether you're a fox hunter or a eventing rider, it's not a problem. I mean, you still have space in the Upper Peninsula there, but down in Florida, geez, you fly into Florida now and look down, and it is becoming one big development.
Exactly. And actually, we get a lot of our hay from the Upper Peninsula, because we're losing land.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And we pay you dearly for it, by the way.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm sure our farmers aren't getting what you guys are saying.
Well, actually, $25 a bale for orchard.
Oh my gosh! Wow. Oh, ouch!
Yep, that's correct.
Well, it's kind of funny here in the UP, though. As much as we kind of have a bit of a turf war, so to speak. There have been a lot of the state-run trails that we and bicyclists have been banned from because of the damage. So I think rather than choosing one over the other, they kind of banned both. But there is an awful lot of development. There are some groups in the area, as kind of like on the periphery, kind of heard that they are designating more and more equestrian trails. So we are lucky in that area, but we still have to kind of be cognizant of certain trails we can't go on, and share the trails. And I've always kind of laughed. It's like, come on, guys, there's all this room up here. We can share. We can get along here. You just got to give us a call. Let us know when you're coming up behind us. We'll get out of the way. We're good with that. So. Right.
Yeah. And the thing is, too, that the riders, as well as my husband's a cyclist. That's how I got to the UP, because he was going across the country on his bicycle. But both groups, all the groups, need to be willing to get out there and help maintain the trails and all. There's a guy out west, I think you featured him one time, Glenn, who he has a big group, and he's kept lots of trails open in, I think it's Colorado, just by getting volunteers out there and clearing. And if you're out there putting in the sweat equity, that gets recognized. You have to be proactive.
Yeah.
Very good. It's an important problem, and I don't think we're going to solve it tonight. So,
no.
But it is something that we all have to be aware of. I know we live in an equestrian community, and more, this was started as an equestrian community with 400 homes that had horses, and now we're down to about 300 homes that have horses, and now we're starting to see the non-horse people bitch about us people that have horses, and that's starting, and we're an equestrian community. So
you gotta love it. It's kind of like, okay, I'm going to take a job working at the chicken farm, shoveling chicken poop.
Right.
But I like the smell of chicken poop.
Right.
Come on.
Well, Ruby has a lighter question for her second one.
Oh yeah, I was just thinking about. Didn't I have another question or something? I wanted to know because I don't have a horse, but I do have a lot of different animals. Do you have any other animals besides horses?
Martha?
Well, my husband, we rescued a yellow lab probably about 2 years ago. And we brought her home, and she attached to him. And the funny thing is, her name was the same as my horse's name. So when we the dog's and the horse name is Bella. So it's like, well, I'll say Bella, and he's like, what do you mean? She didn't do that. I'm like, the horse, because he's all about the dog. I'm all about the horse, and it's all good. So
oh, geez, we got to come up with Little Bella and Big Bella or something.
I know. But those are the only animals. And then my daughter has recently her and her boyfriend, they got his dog had a puppy, so they have that. He's about a year old, and he's some German Shepherd mix. And so you come into our house, you are greeted with very loud, vicious sounding barks, preceded with licks and everything else. So that's what we got.
What kind of animals do you have, Ruby?
Well, I have pretty good zoo. I have 3 cats, 3 dogs, 2 desert tortoises, 2 African spurred tortoises, and how many chickens? I did 23 chickens and 3 turkeys.
Wow.
So
Yes, you have a menagerie.
Yeah, you do.
We call it the menagerie.
Chickens are the thing now. Chickens are becoming the thing, aren't they, Ruby?
Well, which is a good thing with the that bird flu that's going through all those birds.
Yeah, you're still going to have eggs, right? We won't,
Yeah.
but you will.
Yeah, we got plenty of
They're
eggs.
all golden now.
Yeah, my mom actually has like a phobia. She does not want to eat store-bought eggs because they taste awful.
Now, the
once you've
turtles,
gone
where do you keep the
free
turtles?
range, you never go back to store.
Yeah, that's the thing we found out. Ugh.
Where do you keep the turtles, Ruby?
We have 2 pens. We have our big pen, which is where we have our probably almost 100-pound African spurred tortoise or sulcata tortoise, Andy. Then we got the smaller pen, which has our 2 desert tortoises and our younger African spurred tortoise.
I was thinking about the tortoises. You know how because my pony got loose this morning. He got out a gate and decided to run around the farm. And I was thinking about the tortoises. If they get loose, you have a chance of catching them.
Yeah, it's still like Andy. He's almost 100 pounds now. We used to be able to pick him up, but now we can't. So
what do you have to do?
If he
Shoo him?
get out, you're going to have to lure him back. But they love strawberries or carrots. So you wouldn't be surprised how fast it would move for a strawberry or a carrot. So that's how, when he has gotten out, that's how we've gotten him back in his pen. Because you can't lift him.
That's funny. I've never met anybody that had big tortoises like that.
Yeah,
I'm trying to imagine the size of the pen that you keep them in. I mean, it must be like a stall.
Yeah, it's much bigger than so. We've added like different sections on as he's gotten bigger. So it's like 3 different pens with like openings and such. So I don't know about the exact size, but it's pretty big. Probably about the same room as medium sized house. It's this size comparison. So and then our smaller pen, it's I don't know, probably 20 feet by 10 feet.
Jeez.
Wow.
Who knew turtles took up more room than than a draft horse?
Exactly.
Yeah, well, they need the room. They love the room. So sometimes in the spring, if we have a whole lot of grasses or weeds, we'll let them out. We just have to keep an eye on them.
Well, you find out so much fascinating stuff about people when you ask, right? I mean,
Yeah.
who knew? Well,
we live on
go
our
ahead.
farm.
Yeah.
One of our things is we're trying to create wildlife habitat. So we have gopher tortoise, and this year, very exciting in the last month or so, there's a litter of foxes in our backyard.
Oh, cool.
Oh,
And
wow.
They're 4 adorable little babies.
Are they red or
but they're
gray?
not.
Oh,
They're red,
Red.
and they're actually the babies are now adolescents. And I'll have to post
That's
a
so
video
cool.
on the Facebook. But one little guy is just really bold, and for the last couple of days we've been sitting in the office, and he comes straight up to the window and stares at us. And it's just amazing.
Wow.
And he's not running away or anything from us. We try and make it real comfortable for him, but it's really fun watching that stuff. So those are my non-horse animals. They take care of themselves, though.
So we got dogs, cats, foxes, chickens, turtles. What did we miss? Well, that's good enough, I think. That's pretty much a zoo. So you're good. Well, now, Martha, I'm going to have to bail out on this question. You had a second question, too, and I laughed. Just go ahead.
Well, I was just wondering what kind of fitness routine anybody does to kind of
Oh, sorry.
yeah, to assist us in our riding endeavors. I mean, I'm of middle age, and I guess over the last year I've taken up yoga. I'm really enjoying that as far as core strengthening. But literally, as far as I have a trainer, the theme of the trainers I've had over the last couple of years has been loosen the shoulders, relax your hips, relax your back, this and that. And I think it does, it's a little delicate to kind of be of middle age and not having ever ridden to kind of come to it and try and figure it all out. I have to watch out for that tendency for me to overthink it and concentrate too much. And so I just didn't know if there's anything anybody else does out there.
No, I do yoga a lot.
Oh, dear.
But I have the discipline to do it. But yeah, building core strength and all that is just mandatory. I'm a little bit older than you are, but that the yoga is one of the things that really keeps me going. And I do have an old injury that affects my right side, and it bothers my hips. And every horse I ride more than 3 or 4 times has the same issues that I do. That they're like this magnifying mirror of whatever our issues are. And if they can't do it, look to your own body part and figure out what you're doing to make it happen, or keep it from happening. And the yoga, getting some kind of stamina going, and just some basic strength, good old crunches.
Yeah.
You'll end up feeling better, and your horse will feel better, and you'll just have an entirely different kind of ride.
Yeah, I've noticed that as lately my focus has been just really releasing and letting go, and riding more from the hip and legs and less hands, and and I've noticed a huge difference. Yes, I can. Yep. And
that's what you do.
I do ride bareback. There's sometimes it's a nice day. I don't have a lot of time. Don't feel like hauling the saddle out. I will throw a halter on and a lead rope, and we'll just go bareback, for a little hack out in the woods.
Yeah.
So
just carry that back to the saddle.
Exactly.
Yeah. Bareback.
How about you, Ruby?
My friend rode.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was shorts and flip flops while we were riding. Yeah, when we were younger. But I don't know. I'm just trying to lose a few pounds, and my family was going to try and hike the Grand Canyon next year. So we're trying to work up to that. So.
Maybe you could get a donkey. Let them hike and you ride the donkey.
I don't know. I've heard that's pretty uncomfortable too.
Yeah, I don't think I'll be trying it. We're hoping we're going to get out the end of the year to see Jamie and make a trip to the Grand Canyon, and all of us unanimously said we're not riding the donkeys down.
Oh,
we're not doing
what's
it.
your sense of adventure?
Not even the good for the show, we're not doing it. So, I don't care what that guy said about never anybody dying from falling off the donkey.
Yeah.
All right, one more question we have time for, and I think it was, who did I miss? Mary, you had a second question, right?
Yeah. I forgot what it was.
Oh, this was a good question, too. How do you schedule your riding and have it be regular part of your week, especially, Ruby had school and, work and all that stuff. How do you do that? That's a good question.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Go ahead, Martha.
I would say I'm kind of like, it was kind of funny what you said. I'm kind of undisciplined, so I really have to schedule. And I like a class, and I like to have a trainer that I can set something up with on a weekly basis, because then it gives me that focus to kind of prepare for, make sure I get a couple rides in, so I'm ready for the next lesson. I like going to a yoga class because that's kind of, again, a scheduled thing, and I have to show up because I'm, on my own. It's like, oh, no time. I don't want to get up 15 minutes early to do this or that. I work full-time Monday through Friday, and my barn is located halfway between my house and work. So I stop in most days I'm blessed to get to do that. And so stop in, check on her, even if it's just to kind of go visit, say hi, give a treat or two, and then go from there. But, it's just what I do. Our family doesn't do a lot of other outside things. My daughter's in college, so she's kind of onto her thing. And my husband is just happy to kind of be at home with his dog. And so we're not motivated to do a lot of trips or four-wheeling or things like that. We just kind of like to be here in the environment we are in the Upper Peninsula and enjoying it. So I love it. I love work, stop at the barn, getting home. Most nights I'm home 7, 8 o'clock, and it's just what I do.
Sure. Sounds like you've got a great routine. Yeah, we're recently retired, and there's no longer a routine where you have to be anywhere at any time, and it's amazing how much you can waste.
Yes, I hear you. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay.
Yeah, it always amazes me when the parents say, well, we don't have time for that. You did one 5-minute thing today. You're retired, exactly. And it that always amazes me, but it's true. When you have unscheduled time like you have now, the days do just get away from you. And it's like, well, I didn't do anything. When you look back at today, yet you were doing something all day long. It just, maybe wasn't what you had planned or what you wanted to accomplish.
Exactly. Yeah. And it just goes back to personal discipline. So, okay,
and don't you say to yourself, how did I ever get all this done when I worked?
No kidding. No kidding. When I worked, I rode 4 times a week. And I'm not doing that right now.
I'm pretty bad. I just
from the house. Yeah.
I just have to commit. And like a lot of times, like when I'm on vacation, I'll say, okay, I'm going to do this for this many hours in the morning, and then my horsey time's on. And that's kind of why I'm kind of glad I board for that reason. Is that, my horses are a special place to go to, aside from the cost and the money, but it's like, it's something I can go to. And I often consider if I was going to a gym or training for a bike race or doing whatever, I would still do that same thing. So, but to me, it's like, well, I'm going to go there because I'm paying a lot of money for this, and I want to be present. Yeah. So that's kind of helpful too. I don't know if I'd be as motivated like you if they're 900 feet away from you. It's a little different.
I can get to that, and I'll get to that in a little while. In the hot summer days, it's going to be morning or evening, and I usually end up riding in the evening. So, it's like, you better get it done now. Go ahead. So,
I've found just because I have a very busy schedule of school, I have lots of extracurricular activities, and a lot of field trips and such we do. just really committing, getting it scheduled and getting it on the calendar, because my life is basically, if it's not on the calendar, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So it's committing and making sure you have that time set aside.
Okay, so y'all are making me be accountable.
Well,
for
see, mine's
myself.
easier. Jennifer says, get out of your chair, get out of the studio, and go drive your pony. And that's what I do. So
You just need a Jennifer, Mary.
that's it. I don't have any problems with
It's
commitment.
all about go to the barn, because he knows it changes my outlook on life 180 degrees. And
Yes.
he's like, please go to the barn. Please go to the barn. He's pushing me out the door. So, yeah.
I do that to Jennifer, too.
Yeah.
There's a reason my husband doesn't complain because I come home after the barn, because he'd rather see me after the barn than
Before the barn, Exactly.
See, in the first 5 years of marriage, it's why are you always at the barn? And then from then on, it's like go to the barn. So it changes after that 5 years. Well, thank you guys. This has been fun. An hour has gone by so quickly here.
Oh, wow. Already.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
That quickly. We're certainly enjoying doing these. If you would like to become an auditor, I mean, these guys are great auditors. And as I mentioned earlier, I think Ruby's one of our youngest. And you can pay as little as $1 a month. We appreciate all our auditors. And again, half that money goes out to the hosts who make practically nothing doing. None of us make a lot of money doing podcasting, believe me. So if you would like to help support that, just go to horseradionetwork.com and click on the banner in the middle of the page. Thank you all for joining us tonight. And thank all the listeners out there for listening. We appreciate you. I hope you guys can answer this question. I hope you guys realize how much the hosts appreciate our listeners, because we really do.
Oh, well, we appreciate
you guys.
Well, thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Right,
Take care.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks. Bye-bye.
We're getting together, Martha.
Yeah, we'll have to get together. Yeah.
Party time.
All right. Bye-bye.